Okay, it is on. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning show here on Stock Market TV. I am Spencer Israel. I've got JC Parets. I've got Steve Strazza. You know the drill by now. A lot to discuss today. We, of course, have some monthly candles. It is the first day of the month, which means we have to look at the candles from last month. Safe to say there have been better months out there. Maybe not the worst month, but definitely not the best month out there. I don't want to get into the whole debate again that we had yesterday. Maybe we will. I don't know. Busy day on the show today, though. We have a lot to get to. We have the monthly candles. We have the earnings. We got the Fed. We got the Powell. So a lot happening. Brian Lund is our guest. He'll be followed up by John Netto, who'll preview the Fed for us, what to watch out for there. Then we'll have Mary join us after that. So a lot going on. Hit that thumbs up for me. Let's go. Let's bring JC and Steve on. Where are they?
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Happy November. Remember the old days they used to do Movember, where people would like have a mustache to raise money for pancreatic cancer? Remember that?
Or no shave. No shave November.
No shave November.
Yeah.
What's that, Strazza? We can't hear you. You might not have your earpiece on.
I remember no shave November. I don't know what Movember is.
That's what it was called. It was called Movember because it was like mustache Vember. And one of my buddies, he's like Italian, but he's got kind of like a quarter. He's like a quarter Puerto Rican. And Joe, you remember my boy Joe? Yeah. And man, he had the creepiest mustache ever. I would not let him around my children with that mustache. It was, it's a good cause. Pancreatic cancer, obviously a problem that we're trying to solve here. So I like the effort, but man, the execution was. Whew, I'm glad people stopped doing that. I feel like.
We kind of talked about it yesterday with Spencer's beard. Facial hair, it's not for everybody.
No, it's not.
I'm going in tomorrow to get a haircut and a cleanup. I'm a little overdue.
Make sure they don't screw it up, Spencer. You got a hell of a beard. You definitely lead the league in beard.
Oh, thank you, Steve. Steve's sporting a nice haircut. I see you, Steve.
Thanks, Joe. My biggest fan. Yeah, we're all getting haircuts. JC just got one. I'm getting one, all fresh cut.
All right.
1-year-old's birthday party on Sunday, so my wife's making me look good.
There we go.
Mickey
all right,
Mickey and Minnie are coming, and it's open bar. So
open bar for Mickey and Minnie. Got it.
No costumes though, right? For the birthday?
No costumes. This is a traditional birthday party. The costumes were yesterday. I was goofy. It was great.
I thought you were dopey. All right, moving on.
I was dopey on Saturday, but you see, when your wife is as crazy as mine is, and all the kids have all kinds of different costumes for different parts of the Halloween week.
Noted.
Yeah.
Noted.
And candy corn. I think I'm the only one that likes it. To Spencer's point earlier, I still haven't met anybody who likes it. I might be the only one. I like it though.
I was thinking of like other just terrible candy. Peeps is like just as bad as candy corn. Oh. The yellow like marshmallow balls.
Yeah, they're not terrible, but that's Easter, bro. Nobody gives Peeps on Halloween. If you're giving Peeps on Halloween, it's because they're leftover from Easter.
No, it was a mental exercise. I was trying to think if there's any other candy I hated as much as candy corn. You know
what the flex is, dude? Seriously, the flex is the large candy bars. I went to my friend Dave's house, the one and his wife is sitting there on the porch, and she's got like full-size Snickers bars, Hershey's, the full bags of Skittles, and I'm like, yo, this is legit. And then he walks up behind me. I was like, this is the best setup in the whole neighborhood. He's like, too much. It's too much. It was not.
All right. Really. Should we get to the markets here?
I think we should. We got a lot to talk about, boy.
I know we do.
All right, so I think maybe a good place to start is with the best performing asset of the year, best performing asset of the month, and that's Bitcoin, right? Spencer started out this his little monologue there with the, it was a tough month. I suppose it was a tough month for some people, clearly not for Bitcoin. So for an asset class that is fake and manipulated and is used for money laundering and criminal funding, man, it's pretty damn good, making 18-month highs. I like it.
Looks
What
great.
am I missing here, Strazza?
No arguments from me on the Bitcoin. Looks great.
No arguments from Strazza. That's a first.
I mean, this is my jam. A nice high and tight flag coming off a beautiful textbook reversal pattern. This is as tradable as it gets, and thank God, because there's not much looking too good in the stock market.
Can we I beg to differ. We could run the tape back from yesterday. I'm still right. Why don't you throw the next chart there, Spencer, that shows Bitcoin and Ethereum to show the Bitcoin outperformance here. Bitcoin making new 18-month highs, but Ethereum, although not making new 18-month highs, doesn't kind of looks exactly the same, just lagging a little bit, right, Strazza?
You always want to use like different signposts, right? And the way it doesn't look the same is you would look at two charts like this that are similar, and you would compare past highs. Bitcoin is above those pivot highs from earlier in the year. Ethereum still below that overhead supply. But I think it's a good question that we should ask, which is, do you play Ethereum with some sort of a catch-up trade, or is that too cute? Like right now, I think the big question for people who want to participate in Bitcoin is, what is the vehicle? This is an option.
Ethereum.
Yeah. Right.
Put in that ETH BTC ratio. Put in a nasty candle.
Haven't looked at that in a long time.
Shall we look at it quickly?
Can we?
Yeah, here. I think
So basically, we are just checking the relative trend between Ethereum and Bitcoin. We always want to be in the leaders, and frankly, this year it hasn't even been close. It's been Bitcoin and pretty much nothing else. Ethereum, at least participating. A lot of the altcoins haven't even participated until just recently. We have some things like Solana working, but other altcoins still just kind of scrounging around on the lows.
Slide 4. Sorry, Spencer. Slide 4 there. Not 3. This is what this looks like, So when you talk about how you can use Ethereum as a way to take advantage of crypto or anything like that, this chart doesn't make you want to do that.
No.
Right? Right? You made the point earlier that Bitcoin's already taken out the highs from earlier this year. Ethereum is not, and relative to Bitcoin, Ethereum just closed at the lowest levels in 30 months.
Relative.
How do you feel about that? New 30-month lows for the flippening or lack thereof, clearly.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not getting talked about enough.
Crypto.
30-month lows, bro.
Crypto doesn't get talked about much anymore. You hear about Bitcoin, but I mean, we used to be going down the market cap scale. We were talking about like the 100th largest altcoins. We
still do that. You're just not in those conversations. Me and
I
Louie
don't.
talk about it.
Yeah, JC, it's not the same. Come on.
You're not texting me on Saturday mornings about random alts.
Listen, I had friends making
20%.
I was very much involved. I knew what was going on. I had friends that were like coining these things.
They were coining them?
Yeah.
What does that mean, coining them?
Like they were basically just running scams.
Oh, those are your friends, you mean? Or people you knew?
Like some computer nerd guys that I knew from college.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
From like Connecticut?
I told you about this. Yeah, when it was happening.
No, I know that you went to like some crypto conferences and you met some sketchy dudes, but I didn't know these were like some of these were old buddies of yours.
College friend, Big Four guy actually too. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I got an all for you. One that's near and dear to your heart.
Solana.
Yeah, you knew where I was going here. You knew where I was going here. Let's throw up new slide 5, Spencer. Oh, wait, hold on.
So I have a confession to make. I became a major bag holder in this one. I was in super early. At one point, I was up 10, 15x on the trade. Rode it all the way back pretty much to my cost basis. But back in the money today, baby.
What do you think about that? I mean, listen, I can't worry about, I can't control. I mean, I know you had some long-term positions in crypto. We talked about it at the time. Solana was one of those. I'm not playing that game at all. I have other long-term positions, I suppose. So I'm not immune to that sort of stuff. But this is pretty impressive, I got to tell you. No,
It looks good.
is it more It's more impressive than Ethereum?
It looks good and it makes sense, right? This is the one that most like fundamental crypto people are most bulled up on.
What does that even mean, fundamental crypto people?
People who know things about crypto, right? There's like use cases. Solana's the real deal. We're not talking about a Shiba Inu here, right?
Why are you hating on the Shiba? You sound like Spencer now.
Because literally, it's a joke coin.
The joke coin?
Mm-hmm.
It's a joke.
JC,
Am I not in on the joke?
Hold on. Why is the scale so weird? The scale is weird because it went from 50 cents to 500.
What's weird about the scale?
Look, it's all just scrunched up towards the top.
Logarithmic.
It's not weird.
The scale's perfect.
Yeah.
If your scale doesn't look like this, you're the weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
Love you, one hole, but yeah, there's nothing weird about the scale. It's actually, the scale could not be done better, if I do say so myself.
Okay.
Whoever made this chart,
enough about the scale. Enough about the scale.
Funny joke from Rachel. Solana breaking out because it beat earnings on the top and bottom line.
Look at Rachel coming in hot this morning. I like it. No, listen, the joke wasn't the joke this one. This was the joke all along, particularly from the quote unquote fundamental community of look at new slide 6 there, Spencer.
Cardano.
Yeah. See, Strazza knows me too well. You know,
because we pay attention. We know what smart crypto people think. And this one was like, it was an eye roller. If you ask people about Cardano at a conference, like, oh, Cardano. Okay.
Yeah, even my smartest, most in the know crypto people were like, no, Cardano's a joke.
Yeah.
Can we go to slide 9, please, Mr. Spencer? Since we're on the currency kick here. How do we feel about emerging market currencies up for the month of October? Up all month. Do we care? Do we ignore it? What do you think? I want to hear your thoughts, Strazza.
I mean, yeah. I wouldn't, I'm not overthinking this, but I see where you're going. I can see where you're heading with this.
If the dollar was so strong and the world was about to completely fall apart, why are emerging market currencies outperforming? Explain that to me, young Jedi.
Listen, you could talk about emerging market currencies and pick the rare bullish data points right now, or you can look at things like the euro and the pound completing tops and the yen looking absolutely terrible still, and make the conclusion that because those three currencies are the ones that actually matter for the dollar index and the economy, that maybe those are the ones that we should be paying attention to, not these obscure currencies.
You say the economy?
Latin America.
What are you talking about, bro? The economy.
What is the combined weighting of those three currencies that I just named? Is it like 70%?
Of the dollar index?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like the euro's like close to 60. Yen and pounds are pretty high.
What's the weighting of emerging market currencies in the dollar index?
0.000. Go to the next chart, actually. Speaking of which, this is no, not that one, Spencer. The new one. Sorry.
We're talking about dollars. We're making sense of dollars.
Brandon says, I like to talk cap weighted with stocks, but neglects it on the currencies. Actually, it's zero weighted. It's not cap weighted or equally weighted. It's zero weighted. So, and you might be new here, Brand, because I've been talking about emerging market currencies, and we've been using that as a signal for many years. So I am not cherry picking this particular data point.
Hot take, Brent.
Brent, he's wrong. He's wrong.
We're gonna be talking more about the yen today on What the Fic with Ian at 12:30. Because Ian's got the charts. I mean,
First of all, JC has charts too. I don't know if you heard.
Yes.
Of the all-star variety, my understanding. Right. Can we talk about Japanese yen, new 33-year lows? Nobody cares?
No, we do care.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like nobody cares.
No? Who's nobody?
I don't know. I feel like I'm lonely in this one.
I mean, there are bigger things to worry about than the Japanese yen, but
are there bigger things to worry about? Well, first of all, nobody's talking about even being worried about it. It's more about just an interesting data point and what does it mean? Is it the second or third largest component of the dollar index? Okay, making new lows. Yasul cares. See?
But to that point, don't we give a whole lot less weight and meaning from an information standpoint to price action in the yen these days than you probably did earlier in your career, JC?
Funny you said that. Spencer and I were having this exact same discussion yesterday, and I was schooling Spencer because, Spencer, he's a stock news junkie. The last thing he's worried about is Japanese yen. In fact, Spencer cannot wait for us to move on to a new topic.
Yeah. So
right?
what was the conclusion? What did you guys determine from that?
It was funny because I caught myself, Ralph Acampora is always like, JC, you got to make sure to teach because it brings you back to the basics. Like me schooling Spencer yesterday was actually kind of, reiterating some important themes for me. And what those are very simple. You know how we joke, like, don't overthink the dollar, don't overthink the dollar. Like, well, that's true. And we still overthink the dollar. You definitely don't want to overthink the yen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to avoid any overthinking, it's going to be the yen. We talked about the carry trade back in the day. We talked about how the yen used to be the safest asset on planet Earth. You remember that time, Strazza?
I do. It's
I was explaining to Spencer how when the Associated Press got hacked in, I want to say like 2010. I want to say, no, that's a lie. It was 2013 actually. And Obama, the Associated Press Twitter account got hacked, and they said that there was a bomb in the White House and Obama was in it, something like that. That's right. When you look at the market's behavior on that news, fake news, hitting the tape, gold went up, the dollar went up, bonds went up, treasury bonds, right? Yeah. You know what went up the most? It was Japanese yen, right? Because that carry trade was so strong at the time. We're not in that environment now for a variety of reasons, right? But that carry trade was really strong. I talked about emerging market currencies and how well they've been doing. That's really, really interesting. But why don't you look at the dollar index itself, Spencer, here, new chart 11. And then this is the big one, right? So when you talk about polarity, wow. I mean, just this, does it get any cleaner polarity there, Mr. Strazza? Yeah. Does it get cleaner, the polarity? I mean, this is as clean as it gets, right?
Like small caps.
Like small caps? Like the long-term chart of small caps, you mean?
Yep. Yeah. Holding 2 prior cycle highs.
Yep, it's true. Take a look at let's zoom out just to kind of put things in perspective. New slide 12 there, Spencer. So this one zooms out. So we had I don't want to say we're zooming into the dollar index, but that's like last 15 years. And then when you really zoom out to the last 30 years or so, is that former resistance that we saw over the last decade turning into support this year, and we make a run for those all-time highs from 20-something years ago? Is that what's going to happen? Because if so, I think stocks get slaughtered in that environment. Would you agree?
I think that's the bet you have to make for now, right? This dug in, it held. If you zoom in on this chart, there's a textbook reversal pattern.
You think the bet that you have to make is to buy dollars here? That's the bet that investors have to make?
No, this is a bullish technical picture that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
This is former resistance successfully turning into support. And then, like I said, if you were to zoom in, right, just on this retest, it's more than a retest. It's a rounding bottom pattern that has completed for now.
Yeah.
We're talking about it failing, falling apart every day, and that being bullish until it happens, or that being bullish for stocks until that.
Right. In that particular scenario, it hasn't happened yet.
That's it.
Yep. And hasn't happened yet. It may never happen at all. Agree 100%. And finally, Spencer, poor Kawhi Leonard. Now he's got to babysit Harden. Oh, what did Leonard do to deserve this? He's got to deal with Harden. He's got to deal with Westbrook. Man, poor guy. I like Kawhi Leonard. He just keeps his mouth shut and he just plays well. Plays great defense, and now he's got to deal with these divas.
What's with Miami though?
What's with Miami? The Dolphins are in first place.
No,
You're talking about the Miami Heat?
Yeah, too soon to care.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely too soon to care. They lost a couple of games. Let's see what happens. They got the Nets tonight. So, All right, so we got who do we got? Brian Lund, BC Lund in the house.
Yeah. Before that, though, let's talk some earnings here. We had AMD last night,
Yep.
right? Very important. So let's do that right now.
Semis are missing.
So I did see people freaking out last night that it was selling off. I see it up this morning.
I just want to say it has not been a kind earnings season to semiconductors. Arguably, stocks that you want to see do better than any through an earnings season.
You know what though? AMD, which was red, is now green in the pre-market session, and they did say what the street wanted them to say, right? So the numbers were what they were, right? The EPS, the beat, the sales beat, whatever. The guidance, the data center guidance was good, right? The AI guidance was very positive, and that's what people wanted to hear, right? So I think they guided $2 billion in full year data center GPU revenue.
How much?
$2 billion in just from their data centers. And this is a company that had.
But that would be the annual number, or that's a quarterly number?
That's the annual number.
Okay.
For 24, for fiscal year 24, which I don't actually know when that ends, but
it's just not that material, unfortunately. That's always important to check, right? A company like NVIDIA, literally the majority of their revenue is going to be coming from these AI chips in the future. If you look at AMD, they're guiding to a world where they're making $2 billion annually from AI. Their gaming revenue is $7 billion a year. Their client revenue is $6 billion.
Well, the game, yes, but that's all flat. That growth there is flat to down, and the growth. What?
I'm saying that they're hoping that this becomes 10% of their business. It's just, if you want to invest in AI, you want to check those things.
Yeah, there are other segments. The growth isn't there, but the growth is with the GPUs and the data centers. And so they said, it's going to keep growing, which is I think what people wanted to hear. So, I don't know. It seemed like it seemed fine to me.
The revenues have been growing pretty nice for a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's above 100, you own it against 100, Strazza?
I think you got to zoom in on these charts. This is too zoomed out for me.
Yeah. I mean, 100 represents those 21 highs.
There's some sort of base there. If you zoom in, I do like 100 just because it's a key psychological level. And I think you would really draw like the breakout level of the base with a really wide rectangle from like 100 to 110.
I think there are better trades, but I don't hate this.
And here's the thing: like you could say, okay, the reaction today is fine, slightly higher, I guess, right? Basically muted. But the stock was sold for 2 weeks heading into earnings, right? So some sort of miss was kind of baked in, and that makes sense because when you look around the semiconductor industry, outside of the really hot names, they're all getting hit. Even a lot of leaders. We talked about ON yesterday. So
it's been a very just to say mixed earnings season for these chip stocks. Well, to say mixed, generously
mixed. I'll go get the numbers. I'm watching these things every day. It hasn't been mixed. These stocks are getting rocked. I'll pull up the fact set report and we'll do the numbers.
I mean, October was not a great month for semis, right? So this is all part of that, right? We do have a big loser of the day. Let's cover that, and then we'll bring on Brian. Paycom, PAYC, down. What is it down? 39% here this morning on light guidance. It wasn't like crazy light guidance. Their Q4 revenue was light. Their fiscal year revenue guidance was light, but not like obscenely so. Like not as bad as who was it from the other day that shat the bed? I forget who it was now. It was like 2 or 3 days ago.
What do you think about the conversation, kind of the comments I was making on Spaces yesterday? How it really seems like this earnings season, it's a lot less about the actual numbers, and it's all about the look through to the guidance, and the guidance has been coming in below line, and that's what these stocks are getting hit on.
I mean, it's
you're seeing a lot of beats, top and bottom beats, weak guidance, stock lower. Seeing a lot of that.
Well, it's easier to juice the the backward looking numbers. It's and the forward looking stuff is just estimates. But you
then why can't you use those if they're just estimates?
You can, but guidance does tend to matter more than earnings because it's the forward looking stuff, right? So yeah, I don't know. I've seen worse guidance than this, but Paycom's getting rocked here this morning on a heavy volume, down, like I said, down 40%. So
yeah, seems to be a big guidance story this earnings season, and I think on balance, what you're hearing from these companies is we're entering a period where the economy is going to be weaker than it just was.
Yeah, maybe.
Technology actually up for the month of October. Microsoft actually up 7% for the month of October.
Microsoft, great.
Within pennies. 339.82 was the all-time high. It closed at 338.11. Pennies of an all-time high for Microsoft. Wow, very, very impressive behavior out of Microsoft in the face of a weak tape. Very impressive. I mean, we got a short strangle on, so I'm not. My bet is not that it breaks out here. I kind of just wanted to churn around sideways, but putting my book aside, that is impressive, dude. That is very impressive. No? Are you not entertained?
I am. We have Brian Lund here. We have Brian on. Let's get Brian here.
Get him.
All right.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Mr. BC Lund.
Gentlemen, right before this broadcast, I corrected a terrible injustice. I finally followed Spencer on Twitter. Sorry, Spencer, I didn't know you were on Twitter. My bad.
Spencer's out there.
Spencer's on Twitter?
Yeah, he's out there in the arena, taking risks, moderating Twitter Spaces.
I don't know what Twitter is. I'm on X, if that's what you're referring to.
Okay, cool guy. Okay,
got me there with the zingers, Spencer, already.
Wow, look at this guy. Mr. BC Lund joining us from beautiful Huntington Beach, California.
I have a correction to make too. Now, since Brian Lund is reminding me. I said I haven't bought anything lately on the show yesterday. We were talking about uranium stocks yesterday. I did buy some uranium warrants this week. What say you about that? Uranium warrants.
Yeah, so why the warrants?
Are uranium warrants also insurance stocks or?
What? Are uranium warrants insurance stocks?
Everything's an insurance stock according to Strazza.
So they're already in the money. December of 2024. They expire, but it's in like a $300 million stock, so we probably shouldn't talk about it. So
$300 million stock?
Yeah, it's a little guy.
Oh.
Royalty.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
How about those uranium stocks, right? Someone's been pounding the table on those. I don't know who, but some guy's been talking about those for months.
Brian, why do you love uranium? What are your favorite names? Let's talk about it.
So I could care less about uranium as a commodity, but it's just one of those things like it's like oil, right? Or when something gets going in one direction, it just tends to go in that direction for quite a while, slowly. I don't think they're trading vehicles. So I have a lot of these in like my long-term accounts. The ones we've been talking about, the UEC, LEU, CCJ, the spot miners ETF, which is URNM. But we're like talking anywhere from 47 to 78% year to date. So these have done pretty well.
UEC looking a lot better than the others lately.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, and what's really interesting, I mean, just the relative strength in these stocks, right? When everything else has been selling off and these are they're either holding or they're just moving higher slowly. And I think they're just going to keep, this is one of those things where this is a story. If the story continues, it's going to go for years, probably.
Yeah. So CCJ, we talked about it briefly yesterday on Spaces, finished the day up 8% on the heels of that earnings report. So all good stuff. The strength continues from uranium stocks.
Yeah, it's the blue chip in that space, here. I think.
If you want to throw up slide 3 there, Spencer. New slide 3. That'll show that is the Cameco monthly chart.
Good guess, Peter.
There it is. How do we feel about that?
Looks great. I don't know. What are these floating price targets? What are these magic price targets? What are they called?
Those are our price targets at All Star Charts, of which you are the director of research. I don't know if you forgot.
I wouldn't. I just
some director you are.
Well, there's no lines letting people know how we got to these price targets, but these are Fibonacci's measured moves.
There's reasons why we have those price targets, but we don't need to like overwhelm the chart with arbitrary lines. Let's give the people what they want. Those are the levels, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get some coffee while you kvetch with each other.
You see what I'm dealing with? You see what I'm dealing with, BC?
See what Steve's dealing with. That's what I see, dude.
Lunatic over here. So
I'm the lunatic.
JC, tell Brian how bulled up you are. And Brian, try to talk some sense in him. JC's
I heard you're
uranium.
perma-bull, JC.
You guys are the uranium bulls. What do you mean?
JC dressed up as a perma bull for Halloween yesterday.
Oh, I don't doubt that. Yeah.
I was Goofy. He's a Disney character. I don't know what is Goofy a perma bull?
He was yesterday.
I guess. I mean, what does this have to do with uranium?
No, just I want to see what Brian thinks about your bullishness.
My bullishness on what? United Healthcare?
The broader market.
I'm not bullish to broader market.
Emerging currencies.
I am impressed with the relative strength out of emerging market currencies. What does that have to do with? I'm not, who's the perma bull? I'm the opposite of perma anything. I don't give a shit. If I'm going to be perma anything, I should be a perma bear because it would be in my best interest and my family's best interest for the market to crash by 90%. Nothing would be better for me. So if I'm going to have any bias at all, it's going to be perma bear. So I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. He's not taking the bait, Brian. All right. What else are we watching? What else are you paying attention to?
Are you telling me? So what? Here's what we're watching. We're watching a false start market right now. That's what we're watching. Right? We're watching a market. Like you said yesterday, Steve, there's no pizzazz in this market. And it's true. And until there is, it's interesting. This market, in my opinion, we had that big, if you look at the SPX, the July 27th day, that was a really important day, right? Big bearish engulfing bar. And then we had that day on the 2nd of October where we gapped down. At that point right there, it was risk off, right? That's when we started going risk off. And it's really been risk off since, unless you're a very short-term active trader. And I see these people just jumping on every rally, like, this is it, here we go. And they're getting chopped up. And so I'm just sitting and watching and wait until the market shows me some signals that it's done going down.
Super choppy for the past few months now. And I think at a certain point, when you look at these short-term tops, that they've completed. It's too late to kind of repair this damage.
Yeah.
Maybe something like XLK, okay, still holding on. But S&P, it completed the top. So now you have to expect some downside follow-through.
It's above 40. It's above 4,200, which we've been talking about as support for a long time. What do you mean downside follow through? The opportunity for downside follow through was now. We're not seeing it yet.
So that's a topping pattern on a short-term basis, like a textbook reversal pattern. So you would have to measure out the size of the distribution formation, and that would be your downside objective.
That's right. But what if we're above 4,200? You're going to short S&Ps?
I'm just telling you that.
So we have a topping formation that hasn't confirmed yet. Is that what you're saying? Basically, we need to get a little 4,200.
I think there could have very well been a shakeout last week, and 4,200 has been a big level for us for a long time. We're above that.
Yeah. So we talked about this a little bit on the Spaces yesterday, and this is not technical analysis. This is just doing this for 30 years. Like, we may have just gotten ahead of ourselves on that rally from October. I mean, it was a massive rally. And so a lot of these stocks may be quote unquote overcorrecting, right? So that's still in my wheelhouse. But I really thought, Steve, you and I talked about this. I thought that big green bar that we got in the SPX a couple of weeks ago, I thought that was it. I thought that signaled the end of the pullback. I didn't think we'd necessarily go right back to highs, but I thought we'd consolidate for a bit and then go. Of course, I can't remember, was that before or after? That was right before what happened in Gaza and Israel, right? So maybe, I don't know, maybe there was some pessimism that came into the market after that. Hard to say.
Yeah, that was right before. It was October 6th. Yeah.
All right, so why don't we forget the market, right? It's a market of stocks. And Mr. I've been doing this for 30 years. You know that better than anybody else, right? You started this conversation talking about freaking uranium stocks, not the S&P 500. So with that said, you're liking uranium. Is there something you don't like that you're initiating short positions on? Is there something you do like that you're initiating new long positions on?
You short stock,
Because Brian Lund throws some futures trades on the indexes every now and then. I see you talking about it and tweeting out on occasion, but you're looking at individual equities. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I'm looking at individual equities. I tend to go in phases, like I sometimes I get focused on, trading futures short term. Sometimes I don't. I'm better when I just sit back and wait. My ideal situation is a 3-day to 3-week trade. We just haven't had that opportunity in the last few months. So what I've been doing is very slowly putting money into some of my long-term accounts. I have bought a little bit of AI, which Steve, we've talked about before. I've bought some Kava, not because their charts look good, but because I think that there's a potential for a long-term story in those, but very slowly.
You
right?
like that Kava food? Spencer said it sucked.
It sucked. It totally sucked. But here's the thing, right? So you know how much of this business is
you know how bougie Spencer could be.
Right. You know how much of it's contrarian. Like if I went with every stock whose product I liked, and went against every stock I didn't like their product, I will lost a lot of money. In fact,
you would own all the pot stocks, right? No,
right. Yeah. In fact, I'll tell you a great story. So I was out in Las Vegas at our friend Joe Fahmy's 50th birthday, which you missed, JC. But anyway, I'm talking to a guy out there.
The kids I have are multiplying.
I've heard of him. So I'm out there talking to a guy who's a sales rep for NVIDIA, right? And he's telling me NVIDIA is sandbagging the market. He said they have so many orders in the pipeline that if Wall Street knew this, that their stock would be $1,000 a share. And he's just going on and on and on. The first thing I did was pull up an NVIDIA chart to see if it was a good short, right? It's the first thing I did, right? So when I hear somebody tell me a story that's so much one way or so much the other, I tend to be like, yeah. So people say Kava sucks. Yeah, maybe the stock's going to be good. I don't know.
Like a contrarian.
Yeah.
The narratives always have to tie up with the technicals, but sometimes the narratives gives you the idea to go look at the chart, and sometimes the chart lines up with what you're thinking.
I got to go to one of these Kava places. It's just that, like, if I'm going to go into New York City, I'm not going to go eat at a fast food joint. Like, I'm getting omakase. You know what I mean? Come on.
Overpriced.
Is it overpriced? I thought it was like cheap fast food. No?
Nah, it's overpriced for the quality of the stuff, I think. So here's what you could do. You could go find a family-owned Mediterranean or Greek cafe somewhere and get great stuff for way less.
Yeah, but not every town in the country has that.
Yeah, so we're talking two different things. We're talking the potential for the company and the stock to do well, and me, what I have at lunch. And I'm just talking about what I have at lunch.
Fair. Well, you're fortunate that you live in a more diverse, the Greeks didn't go everywhere. First of all, the Greeks are very specific. Where they love Detroit, they love Astoria, Queens, right? Like the Greeks, right? The Vietnamese, they love Huntington Beach. They don't love Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, near to the Cubans, right? I mean,
that's right.
That's right. It's one of those things about growing up in one place and never leaving it. I think I can go anywhere and get Vietnamese food or Jamaican food or Korean food, but you can't, obviously. Yeah.
You guys got Jamaicans in Huntington Beach?
That's awesome.
Dude, we have everything. There's a little Ethiopia area just up in LA. I mean, we've got everything. There's nothing you can't get out here.
Well, I guess that's true. You're right next to LA. That's a good point. All right, fair enough. All right. What do you hate? Like, what do you like? Wow. This thing could really fall apart.
Well, I mean, pot. I mean, stocks are horrible. I mean, they when your whole bullish thesis is based upon the U.S. Congress, you're screwed. I mean, you just really are. And I here's the other thing about that thesis. Let's say that works, right? Let's say Congress does whatever they're supposed to do, and that's going to be the catalyst. How many things are in front of pot legislation? Right? Every time something changes, pot legislation goes right down to the bottom of the bin. So like it's a ridiculous sector, and the people that are in it are ridiculous.
In Pennsylvania, in Pennsylvania, you're allowed to buy weed. It's like medicinal or whatever, but you're not allowed to smoke it. You have to inhale it through like the vapors or whatever,
Yeah,
or you have to
yeah.
eat it. You're not allowed to smoke it. Isn't that the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The states come out with some strange laws, and they're all different. In Connecticut, there was some weird stuff too. Like you're not allowed to grow it. You can't buy seeds. You can buy the weed. You can't. We didn't have edibles at first. It was weird.
In
Dude,
Connecticut,
alcohol laws are still crazy. You go
They are.
county to county throughout the Midwest, and they're so bizarre. Like there's some places in Salt Lake where you can go to a club and you can't have a mixed drink, but you can have your own bottle there, and then you can buy the seltzer water. And if you, it's like, what year is this?
You can't buy more than 6 beers at a time where JC lives.
right?
Really?
You have to buy. I think it's like a 12-pack. I'm not sure what it is. I don't drink beer, but like you have to buy a 12-pack. Then you got to go into your car, put it in your car, come back in, and get the other 12.
And they'll tell you that. They'll
They'll
like,
tell you that.
here's
Yeah,
the
that's
hack.
right.
Just buy one, go to your car, come back. I'm like, what?
Isn't this ridiculous, dude?
Like we're in communist China here. What's going on?
Well, speaking of communist China, Strazza grew up in a communist state of Connecticut where you can't buy booze on Sundays or holidays. On the 4th of July, you can't buy alcohol. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but see, I grew up so close to the New York line that it never
Right.
really fazed us.
And then the argument is like, well, if you just buy the alcohol ahead of time, then you already have it. Well, if you're in college and you have all this booze on Saturday night that you're saving for Sunday, guess what? It ain't making it to Sunday.
No, but imagine like knowing that you're going tailgating at Giant Stadium on Sunday and you got to go to the liquor store the day before.
A couple years ago, or a lot of years ago when I was in my 20s, we decided we'd do a rundown to TJ, right? That's this thing you do in Southern California. If you're bored, you either go to Vegas or TJ, right?
Explain
So we're
to the
going
kids
down
what
there.
TJ means. No, they don't,
Tijuana,
people don't know what
sorry.
TJ is.
Sorry, Tijuana. So we go down to Tijuana and we're going across the border, and all these American tourists are coming the other way. We're like, what are you doing? It's like, 9 or 10 o'clock on a Saturday night or Sunday night, I can't remember. And they're like, everything's closing down. I'm like, why? And they're like, because elections are tomorrow. We're like, nah, they can't be. So we keep going in there. We get every single bar in Tijuana, every single restaurant, no alcohol, because the day before elections, they don't serve alcohol. And a lot of countries are like that.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Really?
They
So
don't
you're
Yeah.
not too hungover to go to vote?
You got to wait.
I think it's people get passionate about their political parties. They get lit and they fight. I don't know. It's weird.
Really?
That's a good
Yeah.
point too. I've never been to Tijuana. It's on my list though. I got to go.
Don't. No.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't need to go there.
I'm
Yeah,
not
you
sure
did.
I have to do well.
There was
Are you
there was a great time back in the day when TJ was the place, and I heard in the 50s it was even better.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't cross the southern border if you paid.
Remember
me right now.
BC back in the day, like when we used to go to Stocktoberfest down in San Diego, like all the newbies that were there for the first time, we used to always tell them, hey, everyone's going to TJ tonight, get ready. And then some of them would actually go.
Yeah, that's funny. I was just telling a story at Joe's party. So you guys, I think the first Stocktoberfest went to like somewhere in San Diego, some like club in San Diego, a bunch of guys.
Oh, I didn't
And-
go. That
Well,
was
you didn't go,
Zor.
but-
That was Zor and Fami. I
Right.
didn't go to that.
And somebody was telling me they're with him and they're like in line waiting to get in this club, and the bouncer knew Joe. He's like, "Oh, Joe Fun." He's like, "Oh, like, Joe." You should have seen the highlight reel that was playing at Joe's party. So so there's TVs all around the club, and it's just pictures of him, Tom Brady, like Dustin Hoffman, like every single. And I went there with my sister, and she goes, "How does he know these people?" And I said, "I have no idea."
When you live in Vegas for a decade, you meet a few people along the way.
I guess.
Listen, the stories are true. If you're in Vegas, you want to be in Vegas with Fami, Joe, or
Yeah.
his brother. I've never been to Vegas with Fami's brother, but I heard it's similar situation.
Yeah, I met his brother when he was out there. He gave a nice speech with a kind of off-color, not off-color, but a kind of a blue joke, which I'll tell you sometime offline. But it was fun. We had a good time.
Fair. All right, final trade. Best stock between now and the end of the year, Mr. Lund.
Yeah, so it's all about relative strength now, right? We're watching stocks that they don't necessarily have to be going up, but they have to not be going down. And so I have a list here. So far, we'll see what happens. Spotify looks decent. DraftKings, although I think they have earnings, today or tomorrow. The ones you talked about, Microsoft, Meta are holding. Akamai is still holding. Palo Alto Networks. Take a look at Lilly. Chart on Lilly. That thing's been on fire. It's come in a little bit, but it's up like 53% this year. So those are the ones we want to watch, because if the market does get back into gear, those will be the leaders.
Am I the only person that is impressed with the behavior of United Healthcare? Am I the only one? Strazza thinks I'm fucking crazy.
Yeah, I saw that one earlier too. The healthcare industry, that's not one I really.
Strazza says it's an insurance stock. right, Strazza?
What do you think it is? What do
I don't
you
know. I see it as the largest component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average is what I think it is. I don't give a damn what it is.
I'm losing my mind over here.
That's right. Every time you tell me that, I buy more, and it keeps working. So tell me again how much you hate it. Tell me.
Anyway, Brian mentioned DraftKings. I think they're going to knock the socks off their earnings numbers tomorrow or the next day, I think.
So
Strazza is a DL DraftKings permable, which I don't necessarily disagree. I'm
so
with
people
you on
don't people don't understand that they only legalized state by state sports gambling in 2018, and since then Americans have bet $250 billion on legal. That's just legal sports betting, right? So there's only 2 states that don't have it, right? You want to guess what states don't have it?
Isn't Florida one of them?
Utah.
No.
Utah.
No, Utah. Good call. Utah and
what other communist state is there out
Hawaii.
there? Hawaii. Didn't see that one coming. Didn't see that coming.
So it's just going to get bigger. So I think you might be right about that, Steve.
It's a mega trend.
Yeah.
Too many people that I talk to are betting with DraftKings.
We're a degenerate society, dude. I mean, I'll tell you what. I went to the sports book at the Mirage a couple of years back. I could care less about football. I was never so into a Browns Saints game when I had $100 on the line. Right?
It's fun. Go fucking waste.
The last thing I want to worry about on a Sunday afternoon is the score of the Cleveland Browns game. You know, like I couldn't give a shit. I got enough action. Like I don't need to gamble on sports. Like I'd rather just sit back and enjoy the game.
But
you get your degenerate streak through the market, JC. A lot of people don't understand the market, and so they understand sports, and they get their degenerate, gene on through there.
I like DraftKings because they're the house. They know that dumb Americans are terrible at math, and they're just going to take their money. Good for them.
They're also
they're
master marketers. I think
good for them.
Yeah,
I'm all for it. If these idiots are going to be making donations, betting on football on a Sunday like a bunch of morons, then I'm going to bet on the company that's going to take their money.
JC, you are the happiest angry guy I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. I'm not angry. Yeah. I'm agreeing with Strazza.
Absolute freak.
What did I say? It's true.
Brett was talking about DraftKings last week. That's what he uses.
Save me here, Spencer.
Speaking of degenerates.
I don't know. I don't want to this rabbit hole.
You want to bet on the house, right? Bet on the house.
Side note, I was talking to a buddy of mine. I found out I know a guy that pays for one of these like betting services. He pays like I don't know, like $1,000 a year to like basically just follow this guy's bets. And he's
recommend bets like a service.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't know people did that for real.
Oh yeah, there's big money in that. Oh, yeah.
Dude, that's a new All-Star Charts product right there, right?
We thought about it. Right. We thought about it.
I know you have. I know.
Of course, yeah. Listen, we thought about it. I just think it's dumb.
You guys would predict the weather if you had a good algorithm. I know you would. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, guys. Brian, Lund,
hey,
old pal.
Before we
always takes us for a good lunch when we're in town. You know.
Before we bring on Ned out, let's just talk some news here. I want to talk Estee Lauder for a second. We've talked about how sometimes you can tell that a trend is turning, or like a signal that a trend is turning is when like the ETF closes, right? That can sometimes be like a signal that like the bottom is in. Other times the inverse is true, right? When new ETFs on a certain theme launch, that can signal the top. So Estee Lauder is getting cracked here today, down 16%. Luxury goods as a group have gotten cracked in the past few months. Estee Lauder's earnings were bad. Their guidance was worse, actually. Their guidance was really bad. They guided full year EPS in like the low to mid $2 range versus estimated to the mid to high $3 range. And the reason I mentioned the ETF thing is because during the months of, was it May to September, we had 3 luxury goods ETFs launch. Now, full disclosure, what?
Really?
Yes. Now, full disclosure, I don't actually know the way if Estee Lauder is in these ETFs at all, or what the weighting is. But Estee Lauder is luxury goods, right? And
is it makeup?
But it's like yes, it's makeup, but it's like in the same consumer track, right? Like like people buy makeup just like they buy purses or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, 3 new luxury good ETFs have been launched from May to September. And I didn't even know they were around until yesterday when I was looking this up. Yeah. So anyway, luxury goods, not a good, for a while there, Louis Vuitton was like the cream of the crop in Europe. And not so fast. Across the board, companies are lowering guidance, and the Estee Lauder is the latest one. So that's my spiel on. Yeah, thank you, One Hole. Ulta and Elf also got destroyed. Again, makeup, luxury goods, they're tangential, right? They're related. So, not great.
And I think we have an recession proof.
Apparently not.
No, they're not.
No. Yeah.
Can we do a quick little rundown of the futures, please?
Yeah, but then I want to stay on earnings. Go ahead.
All right, quick little rundown of the Dow futures, up 45 points this morning. S&P futures up 12 handles, about 30 basis points. Same with the NASDAQ, 30 bips, up about 40 points. Bond futures up, mixing one in, 30-year up about 30 basis points. Gold is flat, silver flat, copper flat. Crude oil up almost 3%. With the dollar mixed. Yen is up a little bit, euro down a little bit. Mixed feelings there on the dollar index this morning, and volatility inching lower with interest rates. And that is your futures rundown, brought to you by the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is currently, ready for this, above the early October lows.
Did you forget Bitcoin, which looks to be trying to resolve higher from this little coil?
Strazza, when you're right, brother. When you're right, my friend. And that's right. We should include Bitcoin in the morning futures rundown. You're right. Bitcoin up at 34,850 or so, up about 55 basis points.
So two beautiful bullish coils have my attention this morning. Bitcoin is one of them, and the dollar. The dollar sure looks like it's trying to get going here.
Funny.
Wait, JC,
the Dow Jones Industrial Average really looks like it's about to get going too.
JC, what'd you say Bitcoin is up this morning?
About 55 bips, about 200 some points.
Oh, interesting.
Why?
I usually just look at the futures because it's I don't know, easier for me. I don't know why.
Why don't you throw up slide 2 there, Mr. Spencer?
Futures are not up 55 basis points. Futures are up over 1%. So.
How do we feel about that, Strazza? You want to be short the stock market with the Dow above those October lows? Does this look like a massive topping formation that needs follow through to the downside, or does it look like these perma bears were pounding their chest a little too much last week, and you got a quick recovery, and now the squeeze is on into the end of the year?
I mean, the perma bears scored a lot of points recently, so they got every pound in their chest. You could zoom out a little bit more and draw this very differently too. So
the perma bear scored a lot of points because the market corrected at exactly the time that historically the market corrects. That's why.
You can be a bearish price action denier all you want, but the charts don't lie, my friend.
I'm the one who was saying fade stocks in July. I'm with you, bro. I'm talking about now. It is November. I don't know if you heard.
If I got excited about every little like retest like this that you're drawing in the Dow over the past few months, every single one has failed. Every single rally has been faded. If you look at the S&P, you could see it perfectly. We all got excited with the bullish candles early October. We ran back up, tried to reclaim those pivot lows, faded. Now you could draw it the same way. So you have to make the bet that all of a sudden the character of the tape is going to change and shift back in favor of the bulls.
First of all, the new 52-week lows list on the New York Stock Exchange peaked a month ago. So the character, I'm not saying the character has changed. The character has been changing.
And what index? Because new lows.
The New York Stock Exchange. The New York Stock Exchange. I don't know if you heard.
Oh my god. Okay. Dear Lord.
I'm cherry picking the New York Stock Exchange. Oh, okay.
Wait,
what's more important?
But JC,
don't index in fucking Pakistan. What's more important?
Some indexes, new lows are actually expanding. Other indexes, like the NYSE, they're not. But
the most important stock exchange on the planet. Should I look at a less important one?
Listen, you're picking the one that they're not expanding in.
Oh, I'm picking the most important one because. Are you serious?
Wait. Can't you acknowledge though that that Dow Jones chart is a series of lower highs?
Can you not? Can you acknowledge the fact that we are above the October lows?
I feel like this is a good time for me to go refresh my coffee.
We've been talking about S&P 500 at 4,200 as long as I can remember, and the S&P 500 is above 4,200.
Bro, zoom out. What is this? What am I even?
You're telling me to zoom out. I taught you how to zoom out. You're telling me.
Take your medicine. Zoom out. Jesus.
You understand that I was looking at monthly candlestick charts all night last night and this morning. I zoom out on my way to work.
You don't drive to work.
I feel like we're having different conversations, right? Like Steve is trying to say, yo, bananas are yellow. And JC's saying, no, oranges are orange. Like, it's just, you guys are having different conversations right now.
I think Steve Strazza is looking at his charts upside down.
Yep. Okay.
I think you're cherry picking. I think you're cherry picking things that are not working as opposed to focusing on the things that are.
Mm-hmm. That's what you think.
That's what I know.
Are most charts going down or up right now? You look beneath.
Most charts actually stopped going down a month ago when the new 52-week lows list peaked.
Okay.
It didn't. Oh, it didn't.
Oh.
It's just basic arithmetic, Strazza. Some of us like to count.
I encourage you to open up a list of the S&P 500 components and just flip yourself through.
Yep, I did it last night. Flip
on through.
Yeah, I'm buying stocks.
Yeah, which ones?
United Healthcare. I fucking tell you every day.
How many times are you going to buy UNH?
Every time you tell me how dumb of an idea it is.
Any others? Or just UNH?
Yeah, I don't hate this DraftKings. I'm with you on that. I'm in the uranium with you. I have no problem with CCJ. I'm with you on that. I think there are opportunities and equities. I am very impressed with Microsoft. We're short the strangle, so I'm not long Microsoft. I'm actually betting on sideways action, but putting my book aside, I am impressed the fact that it was up last month 7%, dude.
Are any stocks up on earnings today, Spencer?
Yes.
Yeah, AMD. I heard it was really important stock.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Caesars.
No, it's not.
Generac.
Generac is the big one. Caesars is up 6%. Then AMD is up, to be clear.
Okay. Let's talk about the ones that are down on earnings. Paycom down 40%. Silicon Labs down 25%. EXTR down 25%. Estee Lauder down 7%.
For the record, I've never heard of any of those companies.
These are all large caps. MTZ down 16%.
What's a large cap? A $10 billion stock is a large cap these
Party
days.
City. Is that Party City? No,
Party City still exists.
No, that's not. But going on the luxury goods theme, Canada Goose down 8%, right? 9%. So,
Goose. People still buy these Goose jackets. Stupidest things. Down 5%. CVS still sucks. I don't know. Earnings has not been very, very good to most stocks.
All right. Should we?
Somehow they just stopped going down a month ago.
Let's just put this conversation on ice for a second. Let's bring on Neto, and he can tell us what to look for specifically out of either the statement we're going to get from the Fed or from the press conference after, or both, because we're all pretty much in agreement. The market's in agreement on what the Fed's going to do. They're going to do nothing, right? But it's not about that. It's what they're going to say. So, Mr. Neto, good morning, sir. Thanks for waking up with us.
I feel like this is like some lively. Who needs coffee when you have Strazza and JC hang out talking the markets? Like legit, man. I feel like I go to law school at night. But you guys are like zealous advocates of each other's market position. I'm enjoying it.
I just don't understand why he's talking about the market crashing. Stocks stopped going down a month ago.
Who said crash? Who's right here, John? What do you think?
Listen, you guys are
Strazza's been drinking the Perma-Bear juice.
You've been married like 40 years now. You know what I mean? Like this is. You need the Las Vegas guy to come in and straighten things out, okay?
Hey! Speaking of marriage, congratulations, Mr. Neto, on the nuptials.
Sure, and we have a bun in the oven, Spence.
Wow! Oh, yeah! Double congrats!
Yeah, thank you.
I'm waiting for Spencer to give me that news any day now.
Okay.
You and my mother both. All right. Well, let's talk about the Fed. John, what words, phrases should we be watching out for later on today?
Absolutely. So quick context on this policy event. Before the blackout period and before every Fed event or FOMC statement, there's 5 business days or 5 trading days where the Fed blacks itself out, and none of the governors or voters are allowed to, of the 17 or 18, depending on where they're situated, are allowed to make any comment to the press in that 5-day blackout period. So the last time we had a meaningful point was Chairman Powell gave a speech on October 19th, where he talked about, gave some insight on things. And this was particularly important because we've seen some big moves, particularly in gold. Steve earlier talked about that Bitcoin, what Bitcoin was doing in the day. And there's acknowledgement from this Powell speech and in general from some other things that the Fed is largely done. And so if you look at, what Bitcoin has done, what gold has done, and so I want to make sure we set that framework for today, that there's a growing understanding. We also see from a steepening yield curve that the Fed is basically done. Today will be the second time in a row that they will not hike. Also, for some context, the Fed meets 8 times a year. 4 of those meetings are what are called SEP meetings, or Summary of Economic Projections. And in those meetings, they put their dot plot. Those are the dot plot meetings, and those happen in March, June, September, and December. Today on November 1st is not a SEP meeting, so there will be no dot plots. There will, however, be a statement, and there will be a corresponding press conference, which happens about 30 minutes after that. Okay, so then the question becomes, well, as JC is going to ask me, because JC has always asked me this, is, well, Neto, then what do we move on it? What's going to cause us to move on it? And so the answer, JC, is, does the Fed acknowledge the rise in yields via the statement that addresses tightening financial conditions? And let me explain why that's important, okay? If the Fed, which in the last meeting did not say that financial conditions were tightening, if the Fed acknowledges that financial conditions are tightening, there's a lot of thoughts in terms of some of the commentary we saw before the blackout period, that because bond yields have gone up so much, that those act as de facto hikes, okay? So if the Fed comes out and acknowledges, and the Fed would never say this explicitly in their statement because they always give themselves latitude, because the idea goes that there's this inertia, what we call Fed statement inertia, that once they put something in the statement, that the inertia is very difficult to take it out. For example, the Ukraine war. The Ukraine war has been in there now for over a year. And so when you put something with specificity in the statement, it now raises certain political issues as well. So imagine the Fed, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, but you'll get where I'm going with this. So now imagine the Fed would remove the Ukraine war as being something impacting things. Well, that would send a statement to Europe about what the United States' most central bank is in terms of regards to the Ukraine war, because they've sort of hemmed themselves in. So the Fed, when they address things, they do it in a broader manner, all right? And today that broader manner is going to come via saying, potentially or not, that financial conditions have gotten tighter. So they won't explicitly say bond yields have risen, but financial conditions are an extension of rising bond yields. So if they say financial conditions have gotten tighter, I think that's a bullish sign, because that's de facto indication that they're truly done hiking and they're waiting to go, which is kind of what we've seen in the price of gold, in the price of Bitcoin, in the steepening yield curve, all in the last 2.5 weeks. And to sort of like throw some more freaking salsa on top of JC and Strazza's debate here, okay? If the Fed does come out and acknowledge tightening financial conditions, I think a lot of the downdraft we've seen on these equity charts in the last 2 months can only be wiped out in about 3, 4, or 5 days. You know what I mean? In terms of half, because it never comes at one, but half of that can be wiped out if the Fed actually puts in the statement that they're done, because that means that we could see, in essence, the historical model behind the Fed is that once they stop hiking, within 6 months they start cutting. Okay, and so the real reason why they
is that every time, Neto?
It's not every time, but it's got a real solid prediction, because the historical thing is that the Fed tends to go too far when they hike, and they tend to go too far when they cut as well. All right, they're not very precise in what they do, and that's sort of the historical analog behind that. So what you see, in particularly for most of this year, is that when there's a perception the Fed is done hiking, which people have wrongly thought for a lot of this year, but I think right now that's much more on target, is that they begin to start playing with what are called steepeners, where they expect that the bond yields will either rise or stay the same, but the front end will rally. In essence, yields on the front end, like the 2 years and 5 years, will come down, and that of course causes a steepening effect. Okay, so we've seen this great steepening trade, all right, in the last 2 weeks, because of the perception from both Powell's speech and other comments that because of what long-term rising yields have done, that's effectively acting as 2 or 3 more hikes. So that's why that's the key today in the statement, is the acknowledgement of financial conditions. All right.
Okay. Tightening financial conditions. Those are the key words.
Hold on, but you said that if and when they say that they're done hiking,
Right.
Well, they won't say that.
That's where you
He
get
just
the
said.
face ripper. You think that would they say it like that?
No, the Fed's never explicit, and the Fed also wants latitude and flexibility. So what they would say though is, most people will perceive for today. It's about increment. It's about relativity. On all these Fed events, it's about relative to what the market expects. Okay, so the Fed will never explicitly say, JC, they're done hiking. But the most dovish outcome today, or the most equity-friendly outcome today, is the Fed says the financial conditions have tightened, because now that's a formal acknowledgement that these yields are making an impact, and by extension, that actually accounts for 2 to 3 hikes, more hikes. And so if they acknowledge that, they know the market will perceive it as that in that regard, and that equities would actually as ironic as it sounds, if the Fed changed the language to say that financial conditions have tightened, the market would take that as an implicit sign that the Fed is absolutely done hiking. That's their
so the futures are betting that nothing happens today, right? We know that, so it's what they say. But how does the curve look going out, and how do you think that'll change if that statement comes in?
Well, if it's steepened a ton in the last 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, and that's thank you for the long end has just been under a ton of pressure, and the short end is stayed put, okay, or relatively stayed put, and so I think again, you get dynamics, JC, with the last day of the month and the first day of today. So there's some machinations that happen in there with flows that can obscure that a little bit. But I think on balance, the steepener is the trade. I mean, I'm very bullish gold right now. I think gold may have started a new face-ripping bull market for the next 6 to 9 months, or even a year. Okay, like face-ripping. Okay, and so if you look at that gold-silver ratio, silver's been lagging behind.
Yeah.
Performance. But I think gold has like 2,500 earmarked, like by like April, April. And I think that, and I'm not saying I'm bullish miners per se. I mean, there's a whole.
The miners will do well if gold's going to 2,500.
They should on balance, of course. They will on an absolute basis. I don't know on a relative basis though.
True.
And I'll leave the stock picking to you guys in terms of which one of the 8 to 10 miners you want to focus.
Buenaventura, that's the one.
Buddha. They have been doing exactly.
Okay.
Buddha.
Okay.
So but on balance, I think if gold's trading at 1990 right now, okay, we have a jobs number Friday. So I think if the Fed puts in financial conditions are tightened and you get a weaker jobs report, both of those things help the S&P 500 and the gold.
All right, and that could solve this debate for us that we've been having for a few days now. All right, Neto, you're the man.
Party's at 2, 2:30, 2:15. What is this?
To 2 p.m. Eastern time is the statement. 2:30 is the press conference.
And how long does this press conference go?
Typically 30 to 45 minutes.
Is there a podcast version of that?
No. Somewhere, I'm sure, but remember, there's the Q&A in there, which is why it's not a definite ending.
Are you going to be asking questions? Yeah. Do you ask questions in the Q&A?
I cannot say that I may have relations with certain media people that cover this that ask questions. I cannot confirm or deny that.
Fair. Okay. You're not uncertain.
John's asking questions through.
I like it, John. I like it, buddy.
All right.
Kaiser Soze, okay, the usual suspects.
That's right.
And wait, real fast, John. You're not on Twitter, are you? I don't think so. Or are you? You are? Oh shoot! I don't. Why don't I know that? Or maybe I just forgot. All right.
What's the handle?
I'll drop
the handle, John.
At John Neto. I'm old school. I don't even.
Oh, geez.
Q or a J or 25. You know what I mean? I have a Twitter account for 15 years now.
Oh, Jesus. All right. My mistake. We'll have to get that on there. All right.
What a handsome fellow.
All right, Neto.
So handsome.
Always a pleasure. Tightening financial conditions. Those are the key words there. Thanks a lot.
Those are, sir. Guys, have a great day.
Thanks, John. Go get him.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
He just blurted out so much information, such a small amount of time. I didn't want to throw this at him today, but he's so knowledgeable about what different asset classes are likely to do based on what the Fed does or what the economic data of the day is. I wonder if he has a read on Bitcoin and what kind of a reaction we can or should expect from Bitcoin based on this information.
I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think he's grouping Bitcoin with gold, the way he was talking about it.
Interesting. Yeah. And it's been moving with gold. So yeah, there's probably something there worth studying, right? And looking into. It's still just such a young asset. We have a little bit more than 10 years of data to look back on, but I think that'd be an interesting study to conduct one day.
One day.
Yeah.
All right. Should we bring on Mary?
Please.
All righty.
Mary.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Tell Strazza how full of shit he is. Come on.
I'm not getting in the middle of you two. No way.
Speaking of being full of shit, I just want to point out for our viewers, Buenaventura is not a gold mining company. Oh,
It's metals in general. They do some base stuff.
zinc, iron ore, copper, gold, silver, they're thrown in there. But if you want to invest in gold, you probably want more of a pure play.
Okay, so what would you do then?
I just want to buy the strongest one. Which
Alamos.
is surprising because as bad as some of those metals have been, the
Alamos.
fact that it's holding that well, despite what Strazza just said, right? Doesn't that impress you actually?
Hey,
So I brought the Alamos chart. I think Bonds, maybe if he has it. Yeah.
Woo! Throw it up.
Mary,
There it
It's
is.
like I read your mind.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled that Netta was talking about gold because I spoke about this last week when you guys were gone with Ian and Patrick. And this is just one area of the market that I have been watching very closely. Alamos Gold is one of the trade ideas that we've got from our premium service and what the FIC. And then also what I was most interested about with Alamos Gold was because it also hit Patrick's Buzz report a few weeks ago. So when I see things overlapping, I take mental notice and put them on my list. Yeah. So here's Alamos Gold.
yeah, this one.
You're such a G, Mary. You're such a G.
This one falls
I
into-
heard you were saying other things about me last week during my segment. So I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or not.
Strazza was talking about what a junkie you were. What was she rattling off? Was it the pot stocks? No.
No,
What was it?
Bitcoin, the miners,
The Bitcoin miners. That's what it was.
which those are my other slides, of course.
So Alamos Gold, this is like you don't make your investing or trading harder than it needs to be. Just buy the leaders.
Yep.
Alamos Gold is that. It's been the leader for a long time in gold. I don't think you need to look much harder than this if you're looking for a vehicle to play some sort of rally in precious metals from here.
For those of us that zoom out and look at monthly charts, can you throw up slide 3, new slide 3 there, Spencer? I think just cleans it up. That relative strength plotted on the bottom of Mary's chart was fantastic. Here's the monthly.
Can't take credit.
This is what that looks like to me. How do you feel about that, Strazza? $11, huh? That's the level,
Yeah, that's fine.
right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty clean. It looks like the dollar index.
Look, for me, it's the pivot highs, but that's the structural look. Nice chart. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for someone that would want to get involved here in the future, the chart we showed before would make more sense, obviously. But yeah, that 11 looks nice. Absolutely.
I can't think of another gold chart that looks like this. I mean, maybe some of the royalties, maybe you could talk about, but in terms of like the pure plays like this, nothing looks like this.
Even the royalty companies don't look as good as AGI over the shorter term.
Over the shorter term, yeah. Longer term, yeah, but shorter term, yeah. Strazza's right.
The
I
royalty
mean, go ahead.
over the short term. Looking at them right now. So we're talking about like Franco Nevada and Royal Gold.
Different
And then
animals.
we're talking, you're talking about zooming out and brought this chart with me from Ian's deck as well. And JC, I know you've referenced this one, but the long-term chart of gold futures, I mean, it just looks so nice. It keeps hitting up against those all-time highs. And I mean, it looks like it's ready to go. I mean, we've had a huge decade-long base of just, consolidation, making a nice, almost like cup and handle there. And I think it's ready to go. I mean, we keep waiting for it and waiting for the confirmation, but it looks so nice.
Yeah.
Patience is certainly paid in this particular market. Rest in peace, Mr. William O'Neill. Contrary to popular belief, cup and handle patterns are not reversal patterns. They are continuation patterns, according to the legend, Mr. William O'Neill. So this would classify as exactly that, would it not? Monster secular uptrend, 12-year consolidation. You got your cup, your handle, clear overhead supply. You flip the book long on the breakout, right? I mean, that's really what it is.
Yep. That's how I'm planning on playing it. I'm not in gold yet, but this is one that I've been watching closely for the last week or two.
You think these precious metals could do well if the dollar doesn't roll over there, Strazza?
I think it's going to be harder.
Yeah, dollar continues to be main focus.
Remain strong. remains strong. At least, when you're looking at the euro and the yen and British pounds. Again, I'm surprised at just how well emerging markets currencies have held in over the last month. I'm really, really, really am. Something to think about. Just a little wrench in that dollar strength story that is just not quite adding up.
So there are some headlines I want to hit on before we close things up here. Why don't you hop back in, Spencer? Guys, do you remember WeWork?
Yeah, they made a movie about it with that actor. What's his name? He's a good actor.
That actor. Yeah, JGL.
Good actor. Who?
Oh no, not JGL. Jared Leto. Jared Leto.
Yeah, that guy. And then what's the girl? Yeah. She's a good actress too.
I'm not familiar with this movie.
No, I want to watch it though.
From A Devil Wears Prada. What's the girl from A Devil Wears Prada?
Oh, Anne Hathaway?
Anne Hathaway.
Oh, now you're talking my
I figured.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So they made a good team in that movie, I thought.
So WeWork was as big of a deal as any startup over the past 5 years or so, 10 years even. WeWork was in conversations with Uber, Airbnb, and these other, now large cap names that came public a few years back. WeWork came public 2 years ago at a market cap of about 10 billion. Today it's down about 50%. It looks like it's more or less over.
And the SPAC was at 10, down from 40, which was the prior valuation. So a 75% haircut
40,
on that SPAC.
47 actually.
Excuse me.
I will never not be amazed that this thing actually went public. Like how they managed to pull that off. It was through a SPAC, but how they pulled it off was beyond me.
So it's actually an absolutely famous S1 filing in the accounting industry. This is something. It was like a manifesto from this.
Do you have like group chats with like other accountants where you talk about this sort of stuff?
We used to, and I specifically remember when the S1 was initially filed, people's minds were like exploding.
Nerd alert.
Crazy the stuff that was written.
Because was it because they were like, wait, you can say this in an S1? Was that the reaction? Like, are you allowed to say this stuff?
It was just like, who let him do this? Like how could you let him file this? But clearly he was one of those like crazy CEO minds, and he was writing about like his beliefs and opinions on life and the corporate culture, like in the S1 doc. It was just absolutely crazy shit. They had to end up shelving the IPO for a year or two. Then, like you said, they did somehow get it done during the SPAC craze when everybody was going public or SPACing. Anyway, the bigger point is this company is now going bankrupt. It's worth about $50 million. So amazing story of just a true epic rise and fall of, startup company that's been around for a while now. And some people had high hopes for back in the day.
Is WeWork part of the reason? Is WeWork part of the reason, Spencer, why you hate SPACs, or just another example of why you hate SPACs?
Just another in a continuing series of reasons why I hate SPACs. The S1, I think, made the phrase community adjusted EBITDA famous.
Yeah, community adjusted EBITDA.
They
no one knows what that means.
That
was the point.
So another one, Netflix says ad tier reaches 15 million global monthly active users. I don't think that should surprise anybody. They're Netflix, of course, that was going to happen. JC, this one's for you. Microsoft. LinkedIn introduces new AI-powered premium experience. How has that been going for you? You still use LinkedIn?
I haven't used LinkedIn in since I met my wife. I got my wife to meet up with me on our first date through LinkedIn.
Yeah. So
true story.
That's awesome.
People meet on Tinder.
Wow.
Meets on LinkedIn.
We met at a bar, and her friend later that night told me that I should reach out to her, and I was like, okay. And then I was like, I think that was the last time I used LinkedIn.
All right, that's bullshit. So
that's not bullshit.
That's awesome.
Although I must say,
awesome.
I think that I'm gonna start using LinkedIn because I'm hearing things that it's just good to get content out and stuff like that. So we should have a team meeting about using LinkedIn.
Okay. So
guys is like, I'm skipping that one.
Maybe. So this is one that really caught my eye. Comcast Disney. Comcast is exercising their put option on Hulu and more or less forcing Disney to take full ownership, which means they're going to have to shell out about $8.5 billion. Is this the case of a competitor kicking another competitor while they're down? I mean, Disney, the best situation.
Disney owns a majority stake. I think it was originally 1/3 Disney, 1/3 Fox, 1/3 Comcast, and then Disney bought Fox, and as part of that, they got the Hulu stake with it. But neither of them actually want Hulu.
But they could have done this at any time. They're doing it right now. Disney's not in the greatest cash position, and they're forcing their key competitor. Comcast and Disney compete not just in media but also parks. Right. Huge competitor.
Yeah.
Really just kind of sticking it to them, giving them a big bill here. It's interesting. It's interesting.
I gotta say how I just want to give a shout out to Disney. Not the stock, but the just the product that they're putting out on that Disney Plus. The smile on my kid's face when Mickey comes out on Mickey's Clubhouse, they love it. They look at me, they're like, "Yo, Dad, you seeing this, bro? This is sick." They love it. They love it. And my daughter with the Cinderella and Snow White and all that.
You're going to Disney, right? Soon-ish?
I am going to Disney. I will be there in December, which I hadn't been to Disney in 20 years. And on the same year, this is like 4 years ago, on the same year, I went to Disney, Orlando, LA, and Tokyo, all in 1 year. So I made up for lost time in Disney. First time I go with kids.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be at Disney right now in Orlando, hanging out with our friend Jeff Hirsch and others at the Money Show. But
no, you don't want to go to Disney in November. It's the worst time because you got the cheerleaders.
No, you're wrong. Because
no.
And we had a great time. We went to the Fright Night, the scary night at Universal, and the show that they put on. I'm not a parks person. I had such a good time. It was crazy. It's impressive what they do at these parks. They do it all. They do a big Halloween thing. There's like haunted houses and rides and scary stuff and acts and performances going on. It was fun.
Okay, well, let's do recess. Let's do recess quick, and then we have an announcement for after recess. So is that cool, everyone?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanksgiving's the best holiday of the year. Facts.
No, Christmas. Sorry.
Too much work.
That's true.
No, Thanksgiving. I have a lot to be thankful for. I am a very grateful person. I am very blessed with a loving family and health and, some success over the years of work.
Tell us about that in 26 days.
I am very thankful. So I just want to welcome everybody to the month of November. I celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving as well. I think we should have more Thanksgivings in the spring. We actually have Thanksgiving dinner. We make a turkey. I think Thanksgiving should be celebrated more than once a year. So happy November, everybody, and thank you for everything.
JC, Jewish Thanksgiving is in the spring too.
I didn't know Jews did a Thanksgiving. Really?
Well, I may have made that up. Passover is basically the equivalent of Jewish Thanksgiving. So, you're welcome.
First time I ever hear that.
But anyway, Mary.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me yesterday why I left the state of Michigan.
Oh, yes.
Dear Lord.
Yes.
Dear Lord.
This my recess is yes.
Oh shit.
What happened here?
So this is actually Michigan, I'm used to snow. This is not a big deal to me. However, this early when we've got accumulating snow, this is unusual. So I woke up yesterday, Halloween, I've got young kids, and we were under a winter weather advisory, and I live right on the lake. And so we get dumped with all the lake effect snow. We got 6 to 8 inches yesterday. Yeah. And also lost power in the process because the snow was so heavy that it was taking down limbs, which were taking down lines. And so I lost my power as well. And it all came back by the end, and went trick-or-treating with my kids, all bundled up. In Michigan, you have to plan your Halloween costumes around what fits over winter jackets because it's typically cold. So I brought a picture of my two. I have 3. The older one doesn't trick or treat anymore, but I've got Kirk Cousins there for I think the 3rd or 4th year in a row, and then my princess riding the inflatable unicorn. So we trudged those all around the neighborhood in all the snow.
What was Kirk Cousins walking with the torn Achilles? Just out of curiosity, or no?
He has a friend who's on crutches. I know. Who's on crutches that offered to lend him the crutches for his Halloween costume. But
seriously,
so many people asking about, oh, Kirk, you look like you're doing all right. And so my son was just playing with it. Yeah, just 2 days of rehab and I'm good to go for the next game. So it was funny.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
So that was my recess. Right. It was a fun day.
I'm out at hour. What is it now? Hour 30. I think hour 37 since I've eaten. Doing great. This is like last night was awful. I was so hungry last night. I went to bed at like 8 o'clock. I was just not in a good mood. I was hungry. This morning I feel great, and I'm not remotely hungry right now. So
you didn't give out Halloween candy, did you?
Also,
because
Mary, no,
What's
I
that?
didn't. No, I didn't.
Because you would have had
Ask
the
on
bag
Halloween.
I saw
of
you have a
Halloween
Michigan.
Ask on
candy.
Halloween.
Oh my goodness.
What
Oh,
is that?
hey.
Michigan, Mary. Michigan.
Go
That's
Blue.
right. That's right.
Oh.
All
I
right.
wanted to give out Halloween
Um,
candy, but nobody comes to my house.
It's sad.
It is sad. It is. Somebody in the chat yesterday was like, "Oh, just drive to an area where there are children and hand out candy there." I don't think that's good advice, actually. I thought that through. I don't think that would go so well.
When I lived in Sonoma, my wife was out of town on Halloween, so I was by myself in the house, and clearly I knew nothing about children at the time, and I cloned off all the lights, and I put like a light under my mouth. I was like scary, and I scared the kids so bad none of them came for the rest of the night. So I'm not, I stopped. Yeah, that's a true story.
Funny.
Update. Went to the fish market the other day, JC. Been meaning to tell you, this is the way to do conch fritters, my friend. I got to see if they ship. I'll ship you. They have a tub of conch fritter batter at the fish market. You take it home, thaw it out, make them into like meatball-sized balls. You fry them up. Fantastic. Because conch fritters are weird. You wouldn't really want to make your own batter. I wouldn't know how. So this kind of makes it easy. You make your own conch fritters at home. They were delicious.
Nice. We don't have seafood here in Michigan.
Right.
I like.
It's true, but you have Greek food,
it when
so.
Strazza's
That's
stepping
true.
up his protein game. I like it.
The group of two.
Okay, announcement for tonight. What's happening?
So we have
Does
a
anyone wanna-
fresh batch of monthly candlesticks. Do we not, JC?
Oh, what a great time of the year.
He's going to zoom out.
I'm really good at zooming out. Strazza forgets that part of my process.
I'm really excited about this evening because I've actually been sitting on my hands, just kind of waiting to see how things shake out here. And this, taking the step back and looking at the monthly candles kind of gives you an opportunity to zoom out and kind of reevaluate the market. So we've got the Premium All-Star Charts monthly conference call this evening. JC, how many slides should we take an over-under? Anyone?
I'll set the over-under on 164.5.
Over.
I'll take the over.
You were light. Well, last week.
Last week was light, or the last one was
2
light.
weeks ago. Yeah, I was like in the 150s.
Yeah.
Listen, when I only have 150 charts and that's light, that speaks to.
Just before.
Okay.
Before
So-
So anyway,
Sorry, yes.
the conference call. Yeah. Let's get back to the conference call.
Sorry. Yes. So conference call tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. We are opening up to any and everyone, premium members and all of our friends here. We would love you to join us and get a state of the markets of what we're seeing in the monthly candlesticks and figure out how you're going to go into the end of the year.
It's going to be a chart part.
So the link to this, I just dropped it in the chat. It is also on the screen, and I'm going to drop it in the description as well in like 5 seconds. So chat, screen, description. Again, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Not normally available to the masses. Available to the masses tonight. Totally free. Come on in. Come hang. It's going to be fun.
There's nothing that we do here, and I can tell you this because I've been doing it for a long time. There is nothing we do that is more valuable to the process than taking a step back, zooming out, and going through those monthly candles. There is nothing, I promise you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm OCD with it, so it takes me a couple hours because I'm a little loony.
Yeah.
For normal people, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe. Get whatever your most important charts are, some of the largest bellwethers of the market, important currency crosses, 10-year yield, gold, some oil, whatever you think the most important asset classes are. If you don't have that list, email me. I'll send you my list. It'll get you 90% of the way there. Some of the stuff I think is super important, you might not. Some of the stuff that you think is more important, I might not, but my list will get you 90% of the way there. I promise you from the bottom of my heart, if you listen to nothing I ever tell you ever, take those 15 minutes every month. Seriously. And zoom out. It helps remind you of the underlying trends. It doesn't not only help you do that, it forces you. It doesn't give you a choice. It's like, oh shit, that's right. This one's going up. Or, oh yeah, that's right. These have been going down. Like it takes you away from the, what did the Dow do today? What did the Powell say? What did the Yellen, Trust me.
Should I send you any of my bearish charts, or you're not going to include them anyway?
Send me the most bearish charts you can find. Tell me what you're shorting.
All right.
Tell me what you're shorting.
All right, so the link to the call, the link to join the call tonight is in the description. It is on the screen. It is in the chat. I don't know where else to put it. We'll tweet it out a little bit later. Join the call. We'll see you guys there. As far as Stock Market TV here today, we do have What the Fick at 12:30 Eastern Time. We're talking Japanese again. We'll have a coin as well at 1 o'clock, and that's what we got going on today. Thanks for watching. Thanks to Brian. Thanks to John. Thanks to Mary. Thanks to all of you. And we'll see you later. Go make some money, I guess, right?
Have a good one.
All right. See you, everyone.
Yo, see you tonight.
Run it. I can't take no loss.